You know, guys, every now and then I do like to remind people that I am still an anime YouTuber. I do still watch anime and I do still enjoy it greatly. And I will say that this season of anime has been such a joy to be an anime fan. And you know, sometimes, a lot of the times when we talk about a strong season of anime, there are still probably some people that can't find something that suits their taste, but I just feel like there is something this season for everyone. I mean, even with the sequels, we have got some of the biggest IPs going through their second or third seasons. Obviously, we have Freya in season 2, which has brought it back to the low stakes, much more personal and intimate stories following the essentially tournament arc that we got for a lot of the latter half of season 1, and I've been really enjoying seeing that go back to its roots. Jujutsu Kaisen obviously is the talk of the town, and that has just been firing on all cylinders week to week. I did not think that I was going to enjoy season 3 more than the action spectacle Sakuga Fest of season 2, but I can wholly say that right now season 3 to me has been peak Jujutsu Kaisen. I feel like MAPPA have taken it even a step beyond what they produced in season 2, not just from an action spectacle perspective, but just from pure artistic expression. It feels like every episode feels like a short film where different people and different animators get to express themselves in totally unique and experimental ways, and it's produced some absolutely incredible scenes even just outside of the action scenes, which is something that caught me off guard because I primarily watched Jujutsu Kaisen for the action. Oshinoko is still going strong, but goddamn, is it hard to be a Kana fan during this arc right now. And I haven't even had a chance to start Trigun Stargaze and Medalist Season 2, which I was really looking forward to, and I'm probably going to marathon when they've both ended. Then like even with the new originals, I don't know if Fate Strange Fate counts as one of those, but that has just been pure fun from a Fate fan perspective. It has just been pure mayhem and chaos, and Sentenced to be a Hero has been, you know, it hasn't reached the same level of hype as when it first started airing during its premiere, but I'm still having a lot of fun with it as just a nice, cool, new dark fantasy show. But I feel like the people who are eating really well this season are romance fans, because there are so many great romances to pick from. One of my favorites is You and I, Polar Opposites. I did not think that that was a show I was going to enjoy as much as I currently am, but it's doing such a good job of portraying what it's like to be in that honeymoon period where you are just starting to date someone and everything's bright and everything exciting, and it's just been so much wholesomeness every single week. And you know what, if you are just looking for fun trashy stuff, this season has got you covered in that sense as well. I am getting dangerously invested in Mayonaka Heart Tune. I thought I was over harem romance animes, but this has just pulled me back in. And of course there is the same fantasy isekai trash. There is so much to choose from this season. I don't know why. I'm really enjoying Hell's Mode. No, it's not that one. Jack of all trades, party of none. I always remember the name of the shows I enjoy. I could use 100% of my brain to try to convey to you why I'm enjoying this one over the other kicked out of the heroes party type anime. And then I took a step back and I realized, this is just Unk Kirito, the show. There are so many great shows out right now, and I'm probably forgetting some off the top of my head, but I don't want this to be another Winter Anime in 2025 in a nutshell. 2025 is 2026. Winter Anime in 2026 in a nutshell video, because there is one show I want to talk about, and it's one of my favorite shows airing this season, and it's definitely a show I know not enough people are going to be watching, and that show is Journal with Witch. Now, this is one of those shows where I look at the genre and I look at the themes and I immediately know that a lot of people are just not going to be interested in a show like this, which is such a shame because I feel like it is definitely one of the most powerful stories to be airing right now, because it is a mature human drama. And when I use the word mature, I use it in a sense of just how it's able to portray its character and the presentation style that it has, as opposed to mature, blood, guts, violence, but instead in some of the ways where it tackles characters and emotions that almost don't feel anime-y in a way. I don't know if anything of what I'm saying actually makes sense. So what's it about? Well, it primarily focuses on two characters, Asa and Makio. Asa is a teenage girl who has just lost her parents, both of her parents, in a car accident, and Makio is the sister of that girl's mum. Except for reasons we do not know yet, she does not have the best relationship with her sister, or had the best relationship. And the story literally starts off with Makio finding out that her sister has passed away and kind of reconnecting with Asa, who is essentially her niece that she never really knew well because her and her sister never really got along and kind of like drifted apart. And it's during the funeral where Makio decides to take Asa and kind of not really adopt her, but choose to become her legal guardian. And I choose the words legal guardian very, very carefully because that is how Makio sees herself. And it's a series that explores in depth what it's like when a close relative passes away, a parent figure passes away, and how do you deal with that emotionally. Now, you can probably tell by the synopsis alone what kind of story this is going to be and what kind of place emotionally you need to be to enjoy this kind of story. It is not one of those turn your brain off and just enjoy what is going on screen. It is not the kind of show that you can just put on whatever time, whatever mood you're in. But if you are in that kind of mood, this is the kind of show that has the potential to hit you really deeply emotionally and make you reflect on a lot of things. It is an incredibly powerful show with amazingly well realized and well written characters. I think this might be one of the best depictions of grief I've seen in recent memory, because the first thing that stood out to me is, despite the premise, it never feels melodramatic. It never feels like it's purposely trying to tug at your heartstrings by presenting you a sad situation, but it's more about how do you go about processing so many of these different emotions in a situation where you'd never thought you'd find yourself in. And it's really a tale of two characters, one of grief and one of parenthood. And it's within these characters and the show's portrayal of them where the series truly shines. Because first up you have Asa, a teenage girl who has lost both of their parents in a tragic accident. And I am so thankful to be in a position where I haven't really had to deal with the passing away of many close relatives to mine. So I cannot imagine what it would be like to be in a position of someone like Asa, but the show does such a good job at portraying just not even the despair or sadness that comes with it, but just the confusion of how do you continue life after this? What are you supposed to do? What can you do to deal with where you are supposed to go as a person now? You know, one thing I think the series does very well is showing that you don't always process emotions in the way that you think you do. Like, for example, when something tragic happens, maybe you don't feel the emotions right away. Maybe you feel numb, and because you feel numb, you think that something is wrong with yourself. But it's sometimes the little moments, like when you start referring to them in the past tense, or there's something small that you'd forgotten about that reminds you of these people. And it's sometimes these little moments where you truly realize the gravity of the situation that you're in. And it's those moments that maybe the emotions start coming out, and it could be at such a random time. Because for someone that's lost their parents, Asa is portrayed in a way that outwardly might not seem like she is all that sad, or as sad as someone should be for someone who has lost these two figures that are really, really close to her. And one of the moments where she got most emotional was when she went back to school and she found out that the entire school has now heard about what has happened to her, and she rightly crashes out and gets emotional. And it's not because of the sadness of the situation she's in. She was just trying so hard to not have this one event be the thing that defines her, and have people look at her and see her as the girl who lost her parents. And it's moments like this where the series does such a good job at seeing what kind of struggles a person goes through when going through grief. It's not just the sadness that you feel, it's a whole load of different emotions. It's anger, it's frustration, it's so many things you do not know how to cope with. And it's these kinds of small moments that got me more emotional than if the series was kind of like in your face trying to get me to cry or feel something. But my favorite favorite character and the one that has kept me absolutely engrossed with this show is Makio. Because while Asa is all about coming to terms with your emotions during a moment like this, Makio is more about coming to terms with the responsibility put on her for now being a kind of pseudo-parent figure. Because she is someone who is an adult, she is someone who is mature, but at the same time, someone who feels so out of her depth with the situation she's been put in and the situation she put on herself, because she's the one that chose to become Asa's legal guardian. And Makio is kind of like the final form of an introvert. She is someone who has trouble being normal and navigating social situations, but not in an overly anime or botchy way. Just the type of person where going through normal interaction expels so much mental energy that she just needs to take a break or a moment to herself sometimes, and goddamn if that does not hit me in the soul, man. But she's also someone who is very blunt and upfront with everything she says, almost a bit too much, because she is not great at dealing with people emotionally. I mean, when she chooses to take Asa in, she literally says, "I don't know if I will ever love you." And I don't know if that is the words you want a kid to hear when they've just lost their parent and you're going to become their legal guardian. But I think what makes her a great character is just seeing, even though she is so out of her depth, not only as a guardian, but emotionally, you can see how desperate she is and how hard she is trying to be the person to fit that role. From the series get-go, she's made it clear how much she hated her sister, almost to a point where she feels weird about how little she cares about her own sister's death. And yet you can see how hard she's trying to be the right person that Asa needs right now. There was one line she said that I think defines her character really, really well, because as she was struggling to really get to grips with the responsibility of becoming someone's legal guardian, she calls out to her friend to ask for advice. And her friend, who turns out to be her ex-boyfriend, teases her a bit because he knows that she is not the most sensitive person to be tackling a situation like this. And he asks her, "Why do you care so much about the little details? Why are you asking me for advice?" And she says, "Because anything I say to her at this stage could change her for the rest of her life." And that one line hit me really, really hard, because she is right. At that age, someone could say something to you that you internalize and sticks with you till adulthood. And seeing this character, who outwardly does seem very cold, does seem very uncaring, put so much thought into the weight of responsibility that she has, I would argue even more so than a lot of parents do. It really makes you respect her as a character, even if there are some things she does that I'm like, come on. Come on. Is it so hard just to give a hug? Is it so hard just to not be logical and just accept the parent role that you have right now? Come on, girl, you can do it. I believe in you. But it's seeing the relationship between these two characters that are completely emotionally incompatible with each other kind of grow as the series goes on. It is just an incredibly well-written series. I don't have more things I can say other than it has just got great characters, great writing that makes you emotional without trying too hard to be. Because to complement this, you have got Kensuke Ushio doing the OST, and at this point, anything that Kensuke Ushio does, I just immediately watch, because he is one of my favorite anime composers. I would say there is no better composer out there that builds atmosphere and builds emotional resonance as well as Kensuke Ushio. And out of all of his works, this might not stand out as much as something like Chainsaw Man or Devilman Crybaby, for example, but it gets the job done, and it gets the job done exceedingly well. In such a banger season, I'm not sure if I can say that this is my favorite anime. I mean, we're only about halfway through the season, but I would say that this is the one I would hope that more people watch, because it is just doing everything right now, and I would be very surprised if the latter half drops the ball. In fact, the only thing I can say is that I don't think the series is going to be finished within the 12 episode run. Is it 12 episode? Within the 13 episode run that it has. But yeah, I definitely think it'll be worth your time. All right, that's it. There. Talked about anime. See you in the next video.